This is the Retirement Bullpen with Richard Warner. The team at Warner Financial Solutions want to help you feel confident about your retirement, no matter where you stand. Get more at warnerfinancialsolutions.com. Now, the Retirement Bullpen.
All right, that rock music is playing, the dramatic music's playing, the stadium lights are dimmed, and we're ready to go marching out of the Retirement Bullpen. Welcome back, everybody, to the Retirement Bullpen podcast. I'm your co-host, Doug Turnbull, here with the coach himself, right? He's also retirement income certified professional, Richard Warner at Warner Financial Solutions in the greater Omaha area, or very specifically Auburn, Nebraska. Get in touch with Richard and the team at warnerfinancialsolutions.com. They've also got a Facebook page and a newsletter you can subscribe to, and you can dial them up to 402-274-9185. And we hope you subscribe to this too and get the notifications for the podcast that come out every 2 weeks. Richard, we're just talking offhand because it's baseball season about maybe who your favorite pitcher or specifically relief pitcher was or has been over the years.
So, yeah, I was thinking about that, and I don't know if it was my favorite relief pitcher, but he was a lot of fun to watch. I remember him growing up just because of his motion, and that was a relief pitcher for Kansas City back, I think, in the 80s, Dan Quisenberry. He had this wonky sidearm delivery.
Yes.
And I've always enjoyed watching sidearmers throw, just because of the motion and how much trouble it gives the hitter for a while, usually because it's just something they don't see. You don't see it in the professionals much anymore. You see it in high school from time to time, but not at the professional level. But yeah, it's kind of fun to watch those guys because it's just so unique how they deliver the baseball. It's a different point of view for the hitter too.
Oh, totally. You would think there'd be a few more that shake it up. It seems like it's all velocity these days. Growing up for me, speaking of that, one of the more memorable ones, and he was on the Braves World Series team. I'm based out of Atlanta, so the Atlanta Braves World Series team, 1995, Brad Klontz, number 52. He was a sidearmer as well. And then in my adult life, and he's back on the Braves now, trying to ramp up operations in the minor leagues and hopefully get one more crack at the bigs, just for nostalgia's sake. Craig Kimbrell, who didn't have, he was a flamethrower, but the way he would lean down in kind of that intimidating way, perpendicular to the ground, right before launching a pitch, was just awesome there. And he'd come out to Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses, the whole deal, man. It was so much fun. So I hope old number 46 can get back to the Braves big league roster there and hopefully help the Braves season turn around, by the way, because it's been a little rough here in the month of April. You're probably hearing this in the month of May, by the way, so hopefully by the time I've said this, things have gotten a little better. Last episode, speaking of the month of April, we talked about the end of tax prep season, but how tax strategizing is a year-round operation. So be sure and check out the most recent episode about what tax planning or strategizing is on all the major podcast platforms and, of course, under the media tab at warnerfinancialsolutions.com. Today, Richard, we will get into annuities and specifically how they interface with the terms qualified and non-qualified money, or that pre- and post-tax money. So take it away.
First thing I'm going to say about annuities is they tend to be a bad word.
Yeah.
I literally feel like sometimes when I'm talking to clients or prospective clients and the subject of annuities comes up, I feel like the look on their face sometimes, I just dropped an F-bomb.
Hey, can I tell you, when I was getting ready to move to this job and I started telling our helicopter pilot and the traffic helicopter I was in, and they were getting a business degree, and they're like, "Oh, annuities, don't ever do one of those." And I'm like, "Well, actually, I've learned da-da-da-da-da." And they're like, "Yeah, they just shut down." So to your point.
Part of it is there's a lot of bad press.
Sure.
And the big reason there's bad press, in my opinion, is there are some really bad versions of them out there. There's some really expensive versions. I won't get into specifics for this conversation. We can do that in a one-on-one, but there's some very expensive versions internally. Sometimes you don't even see the expenses till later. And a lot of people assume you can't lose money, but there's some out there you can lose money. A lot of people don't understand that the limitations of what they can get out of the account and not. And so they get kind of bamboozled into putting too much money into them. So typically, I find there's those beliefs about them that you can't lose money and that I can get as much out as I want. And they tend to neither of those be true in all situations, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so the key to annuities is understanding, does it fit in your situation? Because it can be a great bond alternative, at least based on history of safe returns if you're utilizing the right type. And they can also be very inexpensive from the standpoint of They don't have any commission to you to go in. They don't have any internal fees. But there's also a lot of versions out there with fees. And there's also some out there that can lose money. So these are all things you have to be aware of. You just have to understand how and if it fits for you. And if it is a fit for you, how much of your money should go there, because you're going to lose some liquidity in an annuity. It's just a reality. They're giving you some guarantees, but they have to be able to hold on to a certain percentage of your money over a period of time to be able to provide those guarantees. But it can be a very, very valuable asset in your retirement portfolio, especially when you're looking at minimizing volatility in a volatile marketplace. So from the non-qualified and qualified stance, this is where a lot of people get confused. A lot of people just truly don't understand the difference between qualified and non-qualified money, I have found. All right. Now, I'm sure there's plenty of you listening that, yeah, I understand that, but there's plenty of people that don't. Qualified means something that has been protected over time from the IRS getting their hands on it. Really, that's the simplest way I can put it.
Yeah.
So a 401k and IRA, it's going to be taken off your income. You're not paying taxes on it till later when you pull it out. Its growth is all deferred. It could also be a Roth. It's not taken out of your tax, off your taxes. It's after tax money, but the growth is tax deferred. And because of that, later on, it's tax free. Well, where annuities get confusing is you could have an annuity inside of an IRA, which means it's never been taxed. You could also have an annuity inside of a Roth, which means it's tax-free. So as you pull the money out, it's not taxable. But you can also have what's called a non-qualified annuity. A non-qualified annuity means you may have put, well, not may, you would have put some principal into it of some sort. It could have been money out of your checking account. It could have been a CD. It could have just been some money you received that year and you wanted to put it somewhere safe. Okay. So whatever that principal is, you already were taxed on it. Any growth off of that is tax deferred. So at some point down the road, you may want to take some money out of that. Well, the general rule is what has never been taxed is going to be taxed first. And the already taxed is going to be taxed later. Now, you also may have an income rider attached to something like this. So then it's going to be a prorated version. Some of your income may be taxable and some of it may be tax-free. And again, tax-free simply because you paid the taxes on the money before it went into the account. So the principal has already been taxed. It will never be taxed again. For example, let me just use a real quick example. Let's say you stick $50,000 into it. 10 years down the road, it's turned into $100,000. Now you have $50,000 taxable, $50,000 tax-free, or already been taxed. So they're going to keep track of that, and part of that's going to, you got to pay tax on it, comes out, and part of it you don't. It's as simple as that. Now, non-qualified accounts, you never have to pull funds from.
Right.
Okay. So if you had an account like that, you never have to pull money out. You're not going to have a required minimum distribution, even though there's some of it's never been taxed.
Because the whole point of the RMDs is that Uncle Sam can finally collect on them, of course. Yes.
Right. Exactly. So that can create a tax burden for down the road as well, something to be aware of. So if it grows and grows and grows and you have a big tax bill in there, when your next generation gets it, depending upon the type of account, that could create a tax bill right off the bat for them. Now, there's usually some ways to alleviate that and minimize that, but that is just something you need to process and think through depending upon what you are trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. Whereas an IRA that has an annuity in it's going to be the same rules. You have to take your RMDs and all those sorts of things because it's an IRA, right, and the money's never been taxed.
Right.
So that was kind of a very, very brief, high-level overview, but that kind of gives us a starting point, I think, to have this discussion.
Well, for sure. And for those that had used an annuity and thought it began with the word F, all right, or maybe S, I don't know. But those, there's different types. There's the ones that gave people a bad taste in their mouth over the years. The ones that a lot of times, Richard, I know you're probably dealing with are the fixed index annuities where the principal is preserved, basically, and the part that's exposed or whatever, can only go up or down so much. You get a little bit less return than you would just playing directly in the market. But especially these days, Richard, I would say with the interest rates having been up in the last 3 or 4 years with the Fed, annuities, there's probably not been a better time to get one, right?
Yeah. Right now in my life of being a financial advisor, there has never been because of interest rates.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first began this, it was when we began this whole period of time at the U.S. history where interest rates were just low, and they kind of stayed that way for a couple of decades.
Yeah.
Last few years, they've come back up, and it's a good time to get a much higher safe payout. And again, the idea behind an annuity is not to put all your money in. This is where people screw up. They put all their money into it, and they don't have enough liquidity. That's where some of the bad press comes from. In my opinion as well, the other idea of annuity is it's a bond alternative. So I would never use a variable type. I would never use something that's in the market. If we're going to do market, let's do market in stocks or funds or something like that. That's historically has just done much better with the same types of risks. So there's no reason, in my opinion, to ever utilize a variable annuity. They're super expensive and they've got market risk. So if we're going to utilize annuity, it's going to be something fixed. It might have a fixed rate. It might be following an index, but the idea is principal protection, and we use it as a bond alternative. So depending upon somebody's risk tolerance, we may put 20% of their IRA value, for example. Let's say you're trying to allocate your money over in retirement. We may put 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%. You don't ever want to go, in my opinion, past 50%.
Yeah.
But you could go as high as that to protect your account from volatility in the market and drops in the market, but yet still yield returns, at least based on history, that have outpaced inflation and kept ahead of what we have seen historically from other types of similar investments. So it's just a good strategy to reduce fees, reduce commissions, and protect some of your money and still get a competitive bond-like return, if that makes sense.
Understood. Yeah. Preserving the principal there, and then still getting potentially, depending on the market state of things, some growth. So if someone wants to walk through, because look, just like we discussed with tax strategies in the last episode, if somebody wants to walk through what can be a very complicated thing, maybe something they had a preconceived notion about, maybe they haven't heard this kind of analysis, surgical almost, all right, from their advisor, and they want a second opinion or maybe a first opinion, they should come talk to you, right?
That's exactly right. We've talked to a lot of people who thought over the years the word annuity was an F word. And after understanding how it fits in their situation, after seeing what they actually are, they have a different opinion. Now, not everybody does. Some people have just a belief that they're not for them. And that's okay. That's their right. It's their money. They can invest their money however they want.
Right.
And not every single one of my clients has one. It just depends upon their situation, their risk tolerances, what they're trying to achieve, and what they want to see for volatility.
For sure.
If that makes sense. Because to be fair, historically, if we go all out in the market, we're going to do better over time, but there's going to be periods that it doesn't do well. And in retirement, and
some people might just be turning 65 at one of those troughs.
Right, exactly. And it might be a time when you need money out and it's way down. Well, that's where that protection comes in. Well, now I've got a place to draw some money out when the market's down.
For sure. Well, so the way to get in touch with Richard and the Warner Financial Solutions team, you could go to warnerfinancialsolutions.com, click the Contact Us button, and set up an appointment there. Get on Richard's calendar. It's a busy time of year, not only with baseball, but of course with people, I'm sure, that are blowing up the phones and trying to figure out what their portfolios are doing these days. But you can also dial them up too and talk to Richard's team, 402-274-9185, 402-274-9185. That phone number and the link to get to the website are in our show notes as well. Be sure to know that. And speaking of the show, remember, you can find this on all of the podcatchers, okay? Apple, Spotify, and the like, iHeart, or many of the podcatchers, I could say. And, of course, it's also on the media page at warnerfinancialsolutions.com. Richard, I know we just scratched the surface there, but thank you for helping get people pointed in the right direction, at least to get a more objective look at what annuities are, and an angle I hadn't really spoken much about to anyone before, the whole tax implications with such. So we appreciate you guiding us through.
That's what I'm here for. Thanks for your time, Doug.
Oh, thank you for your time. Thanks also as well for the time of our busy producer, Brandon Benefield, who gets this stuff polished up, published, and ready for show. And of course, thank you to all of you. Again, be sure to subscribe, opt in for the notifications. You'll see the show comes out every 2 weeks. And if you know someone in your circle that maybe has some retirement questions, some financial questions, send them the link to the show and let them get to know Richard Warner just a little bit better. In fact, Richard Warner is your retirement income certified professional at Warner Financial Solutions. I'm your co-host, Doug Turnbull. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you very soon here again in the Retirement Bullpen.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Warner Financial. Warner Financial is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Warner Financial are not subject to investment advisor requirements. NPN number 7617022. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be considered as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Warner Financial is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Warner Financial. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.